Almost all Victorian-era references in books, films, and TV shows from the last century romanticize the period. Beautiful dresses, opulent homes, and passionate love are hallmarks of the long-gone era. However, in a lot of the media we watch and read about the ostensibly cultured Victorians, nobody discusses how they got their water, went to the bathroom, or took a bath. The Victorians were actually fairly filthy, once you peeled back all the layers of silk and lace. Most people didn't have indoor plumbing, and people didn't necessarily take weekly or even daily showers. As a result, it is not surprising that illnesses were common during the Victorian era. Overall, odd hygiene trends disproportionately affected women. So let's look around, hold our noses, and learn the truth about the purportedly spotless Victorians. Welcome back to Iconic History. Remember to support, please subscribe. How did hygiene affect society in the Victorian era? Their clothing was dyed with urine. Victorians frequently used more than just soap to clean their clothes when doing the wash. Chalk was frequently used to remove grease and oil stains from garments, while kerosene was effective at cleaning both blood and grass stains. Urine stains and odors were commonly cleaned with milk. In a similar vein, Victorians used their own urine, which contains ammonia, to bleach their clothing. They lacked indoor plumbing but had indoor toilets. The convenience of the early indoor toilets, or water closets, was well liked, but because they lacked indoor plumbing, waste frequently ended up in a huge cesspool in the basement. The cesspools ultimately filled up, and the stench frequently penetrated into the house, despite the fact that it initially seemed like a perfect substitute for outhouses or chamber pots. As a result, night soilmen, or people who empty cesspools and sell the excrement to farmers as fertilizer, became a cottage industry. Cesspools could only be emptied at night, according to laws at the time, as doing so would be extremely upsetting. They used cuttlefish to make homemade toothpaste. Victorians of the middle and upper classes could easily buy toothbrushes and toothpaste, but the majority of the working class had to prepare their own remedies. Soot, chalk, or powdered cuttlefish are some ingredients that can be used to create improvised toothpaste at home. Typically, toothbrushes had wooden handles and hard bristles. Celery was considered to be sufficiently abrasive to clean one's teeth while eating for those who could not afford a toothbrush. Their dentistry was considerably terrible than their poor oral hygiene. If there was no dentist in the region, local barbers or blacksmiths would frequently give dental care. The latest in hair care techniques used vinegar and eggs. Despite the Victorians' obsession with hair, modern shampoo wasn't even a thought. Several eggs were frequently broken over women's heads, massaged into their hair, and then washed away with a pitcher of water. Another preferred alternative was vinegar diluted with water. In fact, a lot of kitchen-related things were common pre-shampoo substitutes. Rum, black tea, and rosemary were all regarded as completely acceptable hair-washing ingredients. They learned proper bathing techniques from books. Books that explained what Victorians could expect from a bath were published when semi-regular bathing became popular. One book offered a variety of toilet recipes for Victorians who were intrigued but hadn't had a bath. People were told not to take a bath within 4 hours of a substantial meal, much like the urban belief regarding swimming. Additionally, Victorians were advised from washing their faces when traveling unless the water could be purified beforehand using alcohol or ammonia. One of the most well-known beauty regimes was a Russian bath, which involved washing the face with very hot water first, followed by very cold water, to help prevent wrinkles. For menstruation, women used bandages of a military standard. Victorian hygiene had many flaws, but it was the first time in history that feminine hygiene was actually discussed in polite company. In the latter half of the 19th century, disposable pads and even an early design of the tampon were developed. Due to their wood pulp base, women also discovered that bandages traditionally used to treat soldiers' wounds could be helpful for menstrual care. Victorian women, as you probably already know, didn't wear underwear, or at least they didn't have a garment like underpants. A woman's shift functioned as her underwear. Its function was to protect the outer dress from body oils and stains. When a woman had her period, they used a garment that looked something like a bikini bottom. They were present during the Great Stink in 1858. In the sweltering summer months, even contemporary cities may have a distinct odor, but London's smell in 1858 caused the city to be evacuated. Previously, the core of London's sewage system was the now beautiful River Thames, where residents could simply dump their trash. Londoners grumbled about the smells emanating from the river, and medical professionals blamed the stench for the city's epidemic of diseases. The 1858 summer was subsequently dubbed the Great Stink. Legislators didn't act until breezes from the River Thames blew in the direction of Parliament. A bill allowing for a new sewage infrastructure in London was passed in just 18 days. They believed that disease was caused by unpleasant smells. Today, odors are at most regarded unpleasant, but Victorians believed odors were harmful. The night air, or miasma idea proposed that a number of diseases, including chlamydia and cholera, could be transmitted by filthy air. Victorians even went so far as to attribute the bad air quality in London's low neighbourhoods to the odours coming from the streets. Even the well-known nurse Florence Nightingale believed in miasma and considered that healthy patients necessitated clean air. In fact, the unsanitary conditions in industrial locations led to disease, which brought forth unpleasant odors. Thanks to contemporary cleanliness and treatment, the medical community now regards miasma as a fake science. Escort employment was forbidden to stop the spread of STDs. In the Victorian era, STDs were widespread. Escort employment was a reasonably typical way for women to make a livelihood in London's underprivileged regions, despite being socially taboo. Due to their lack of simple access to contraception, these workers frequently shared STDs with their clients, who then shared them with their wives. The government eventually intervened to treat the STD epidemic as a public health threat. There were little to no repercussions for their male patrons, but women of the night may be arrested and forcibly treated for STDs. They both cleaned their floors and treated STDs with Listerine. Listerine was created in 1879 by Dr. Jordan Lawrence and chemist-turned-entrepreneur Jordan Wheat Lambert, but it wasn't extensively marketed until 1914. Lambert initially tried to promote Listerine as a medicinal antiseptic as Victorians gradually came to accept contemporary hygiene. He started coming up with novel and peculiar uses for Listerine after his product failed to generate a profit. Before being advertised as a mouthwash, Listerine was also sold as a floor cleaner and a treatment for gonorrhea and dandruff. The marketing choice that led to the brand's success for a century was made by Gerald Barnes Lambert, the inventor's son. Their favorite hair care product was full of lead. During the Victorian era, baths were a lot of work, and were even considered unhealthy, so people rarely took them. In some parts of Europe, though, it was advised that women mix burnt barley bread, salt, and bear fat together and put that on their hair. It was supposed to make it grow. Some other women liked to make a tea with goat milk or water, and elm bark, willow root, and reed root and use that to wash their hair. It was supposed to make it thicker. Other hair washing methods included vinegar, rosemary water, nettles, mint, thyme and several other herbs. After being developed in the middle of the 1860s, Hall's Vegetable Sicilian Hair Renewer immediately became a standard in Victorian hair treatment. Its alleged darkening effects, which helped people preserve a youthful appearance, were its principal advantage. Unfortunately, to help darken the hair, Hall's hair renewer used lead as a bonding agent for other chemicals. The hair renewer did make the hair darker, but it was also quite damaging. Hall's managed to keep their hair renewer on the market into the 1930s even after reducing the quantity of lead in it.